Call the meeting to order. We do not have a quorum, I don't think, Mr. Bratz, but we're going to get started anyway. And we do have a busy schedule ahead of us. We're going to be hearing from AURI and then individuals from the MARL program. And then if time permits, we're going to continue where we left off with the Minnesota Department of Agriculture, the division directors. And so we want to make sure that we get through that. If we're able to do that today, great. If not, we'll reschedule. And so, again, we'll start with AURI, and I may be interrupting you just to officially call us to order, if you will, once we have a quorum here. But if you would state your name for the record and begin, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members. Dan Scogan, Government Relations Director for AURI. And I appreciate the opportunity to present a little bit of a history on AURI, what we're doing, what we're currently looking at doing in the future. Talk a little bit about our change request on our base budgeting. And then we brought a couple of clients along. We always like to do that. Representative Anderson and I were at a meeting last night where he recalled 2 years ago when we brought Earth Clean to the committee and they started a fire in this room and then put it out. And it caused quite a bit of high anxiety, not only for the committee members, but for the sprinkler system and for the sergeant at arms and for the people who told me that if you're going to testify in the Senate, we're not starting a fire in that building.
Oh, we like to keep people on their toes. So.
We certainly did. We're told that we may be a little short on energy on this end of the PowerPoint as well, but we're going to try to move right along because we do have I know you have a busy schedule as well. A little bit about AURI for people who are new to the committee and to agriculture in Minnesota. We were created back in the 1980s when production agriculture was really underwater. We had high interest rates, we had low commodity prices, farmers were trying to put their crops into animals that were not profitable, and the legislature created this state organization to add value to Minnesota's agricultural products. We focus on 4 areas. We focus on food, renewable energy, bio-based products, and the co-product, the stuff that we used to take to the landfill or find other ways to dispose of. We have scientists who think that there is a real value in some of that, and we're doing a good job of getting to that and finding the value and adding value to the co-products. AURI is led by agriculture, as I mentioned. Our clients, our products, our processes are all ag-based. It has to have that agriculture connection, or it's not within our mission statement, and so then we have to hand them off to somebody else. Even on our board of directors, we are ag-based. We have members from the Ag Finance Committee, both the House and Senate. We have members from ag banking. We have members from commodity groups. We have members from statewide ag organizations. So we are constantly vigil on our mission to make sure that we stay agriculture. AURI, of course, this slide kind of speaks for itself. We work with existing businesses, entrepreneurs, producers, cooperatives, egg processors, all kinds of partners to collaborate. And when you look at this one, we have up to 120 projects going on at any one time, members, and this is just some of the logos that have come out over the last 8 or 9 years from companies that have been very successful, coming to us with their ideas, their innovation, and but with roadblocks. With roadblocks in technology and science, maybe in shelf life, maybe in just getting it marketed, and we have helped them get through those roadblocks because of the investment that the state of Minnesota makes in AURI. And the Institute is pretty proud. Here you see small and large. I see Minnesota Farmers Union Industries is on there, and then some very small entrepreneurs too who have found success because they partnered up with AURI. We are unique. This slide just shows that we offer technical services that clients struggle to find or can afford. And the state of Minnesota invests in us, and we make sure that they move along. Applied research. We don't do the research that other people can pick up and look at later. We're doing research that is directly responsible for creating those jobs and creating those new products and processes. Clients can get their hands-on help right in our laboratories, and of course we network with, when we can't provide a service or a product, we network with those who can, and we connect our clients to those people.
Excuse me, Senator, we do have a quorum. I just wanted to officially call it to order, so we do have a quorum.
You don't name who it was that brought you to quorum, or?
It was you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This slide, as I said, kind of speaks for itself too. We're very proud of the things that AURI can do. The Institute does, as much as that seamless service from idea to implementation is important for the client, I really like that second one because of the investment that the state of Minnesota makes in us. We aren't looking for a particular outcome when we go into a lab. We have a client who has an idea, and we want to create a job with that idea. And so we're not looking for something specific. We are doing that unbiased information, grounded science, and I think that's important to remember. And this one is just in the last 8-9 years, here's where our projects that have been successful have landed. We have statewide impact from the metro to the furthest corners of rural Minnesota. And you might say, well, it's agriculture based. Why so many in the metro area? With the women and minority groups that are now starting to farm more, they're innovative, they're thinking about new things. We've taken on some of those. And we also work with the manufacturers and those who produce the product, and some of those certainly land in the Twin Cities and the metro areas. And then we'll just, throw some numbers at you as a result. We did a survey of clients that we've worked with in the past 8 years, and as you can see, we've helped create and retain some jobs. We've also used tons of ag products to bring these jobs to fruition, and we've generated other investment. Other people, companies, foundations see the value in what the client is trying to do, and they've come to the party as well.
Excuse me, Senators.
Thank you.
Once a senator, always a senator, right?
I appreciate that. Thank you for remembering.
So I noticed we have a map in our folder here. If we wanted to know more details as far as the businesses or the success stories within the area in which we serve, can we go online, or can we obtain that information, or is it proprietary? Or
it is not proprietary, and it is available on our website at auri.org. Okay. And Mr. Chair, if you'd like, we also have a hard copy that kills a lot of trees to print it out. But if you'd like a hard copy, I can get you one as well.
That's okay.
But it is available.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question. I think I was up to our client responses, and as you can see from a client survey that we took in 2013, we wanted to make sure that we were doing the work that the clients needed. And we thought we were, because we have successful products and processes and clients that are willing to come and testify and talk about us a little bit. But as you can see, we're in the upper 70s into the mid 90s on the kinds of questions about whether or not AURI is providing a service that the legislature asked us to provide when they created us over 25 years ago. And then just a couple minutes on opportunity, and then I'm going to turn it over to our clients today. But we have recently, in the last 2 years, done some research with Battelle, a world-renowned research organization. They took a look at the state of Minnesota to see what was available in agriculture in Minnesota on a worldwide scale. And so the next big opportunity, we think, is ag bioscience. Food, water, also related bioscience projects. Minnesota already, according to the Battelle study, generates over $23 billion in ag bioscience product. And we think with some additional investment, we can bring that number closer to $25 billion, or maybe just a little bit higher. We have a history here in Minnesota, of course, of global leadership and world-class science and education, and this aligns well with what Battelle was telling us is available in the state of Minnesota. Now, when we saw the numbers from Battelle, they really were a worldwide picture, and so we engaged with the University of Minnesota Economics Department to do an economic impact study. Well, I don't have those numbers today, but they are just getting ready to roll that out. And we broke it out into the same 6 regions that the Initiative Foundations serve. And we'll be able to come back here in a couple of weeks and show you, with investment in northwestern Minnesota, the potential economic impact. With investment in southeastern Minnesota, the potential economic impact in ag biosciences. And we think we're excited. We're looking at some of the numbers. We think it's going to be the next big deal. And as soon as it's available, we'd like to come back sometime and show you what that might look like. So it's all areas of opportunity. That's what we've gotten to. Jumped one too many. We see opportunities, especially at AURI, in 5 areas. We want to continue to build this ag bioscience strategy. We want to provide some critical engineering services We want to provide some new dairy products and some new dairy product development. And then, of course, we want to reach further into those entrepreneurial spirits that we're finding in women and ethnic groups that are starting to farm, certainly smaller acreages, but are coming to us with some new ideas as well. And so that's going to be part of our change request going forward. Now, the businesses that AURI assists are, of course, key to keeping this vision going, and I'm always excited. You're not going to start any fires, are you?
No, I was
Okay.
going to roast some coffee here, but I decided after what you told me, it wouldn't be the best idea.
That's right. We want to put a face on the projects, and I'm expected to talk about AURI in a positive way and show you the good results that your investment in our organization provide. But when I can bring a client in that we've helped walk past a hurdle or jump a hurdle or bring something to market, I'm always excited about that. So we're going to hear from James Curran. He's with Java Cycle. If you read the Star Tribune this last Sunday, there was a nice article on Java Cycle and the work that they're doing. And then John Pollock of Midwest Ag is, and I don't know John, he's supposed to be here. Back here. Thank you, John. He's going to present some of the things that AURI and Midwest Ag have worked on as well. So members, Mr. Chair, I present James Curran.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for...
Yes, please state your name for the record, who you
James
represent,
Curran,
and begin.
Java Cycle, CEO and founder. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure and an honor. I'm very grateful for AURI and all they've done for me. As a background, I was a commodities trader with Louis Dreyfus Corporation over their London office, their Connecticut office, and I walked away from it about 10 years ago to found my own little tiny fair trade organic coffee company, start a family here in the Midwest, and I've been loving it ever since. Byproduct of coffee roasting is coffee chaff. There's some other byproducts. The coffee comes in these big burlap coffee sacks, and I've always looked at both of them kind of going, you know, what else can be done with these things? So I started with the coffee sacks. It was kind of the easiest thing to start with. So we started making totes and bags, footstools, pillows, all types of things like that, home decor. As kind of a starting point, I've done a lot of work for Caribou Coffee, for Dunn Brothers, for Nestle, and it was a great thing to do. It was a small business, all locally made in Faribault, and it was a great starting point. But the chaff was always in the back of my head, and knowing that there was some great fertilizer value to it, I just scratched my head and said, what else can we do with this? But I realized the technology to take it from coffee chaff, which is in this bag right here. You start with the green bean coffee. It comes like this, and then you roast it, which we all know and love. And then the byproduct is the chaff. It's a light, fluffy material. It takes about 240 pounds of the green coffee to produce about a pound of the coffee chaff. So it's not a high volume product, but yet it's still a byproduct that every coffee roaster deals with. So I realized the technology to take it from coffee chaff into the product that we developed with AURI, which is a fertilizer, was beyond my technical capability. And so I began to ask around, where can I go with this? What can I do with this? And I got led to AURI. And when I sat down with Al at the Waseca office, very quickly he said, yeah, we can do this. And he just pieced everything together, just took the burden off my mind of how do you take this from concept, to idea. And AURI very quickly just connected those dots. And within a fairly short period of time, we were in the lab testing, and this was just way beyond anything that was in my scope of capacity. And as a small business owner, very small business owner, by design, I like small these days, AURI was critical in getting me to the point where now I've got product on shelf. It's being sold at Mother Earth Gardens here in the cities, and we've got a few other garden centers that we're reaching out to. We've got additional products that we're developing with AURI using the coffee chaff as a base. We've got other products that we're working on. One of the products that could be pretty interesting is taking the coffee sacks and the chaff, shredding them all down, and then pressing them into biodegradable planting pots that people can use on their property, on their farm, wherever they want to do some container gardening. It'll have some good fertilizer value to it. There's other products that we're working on. One of them that's kind of fun is taking the coffee chaff fertilizer, mixing it with a little bit of compost, taking some seeds, and then you create a ball. You cover the outside with clay. Now you've got what's called a seed ball or seed bomb. In urban environments where you've got these vacant lots and these areas where there's not much going on, you can take these seed balls, and we're creating a pollinator blend, which is friendly towards pollinators, and deposit these in these locations and get something to grow, make something happen that wouldn't have happened prior. And it's a law of probability. You got to throw a lot of these things down to get something to grow. But if nothing's going to happen there, you've got absolutely nothing to lose.
If you're okay with it, could we get the page just to pass that around so we can take a look of some of the products? Is that okay? Just
Yeah.
so the
You want all of
legislators
them?
can
You
take a
want
look at it? Yeah, we'll just pass them.
Yeah, you
the
can
table.
open up the top of all the bags.
And that bag as well
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
burlap. That's okay. All right. Thank you.
So in addition to what you see right here, we also have a soap that we've developed using coffee grinds. So the idea is to kind of branch out beyond the fertilizer product and really look at it backwards and say, hey, we've got these raw materials. What can we do with it? And that's really where brainstorming with AURI has just been priceless, because when you've got a technological need that you don't have the capital to invest yourself in, you need to turn to help. You need to say, I need some help here, and AURI has been providing that, just seamlessly. I think the other thing that's interesting is that we won a Bremer Bank grant to take the coffee sacks and the coffee chaff, waste cardboard, and waste wood, and grind them all together and create a fire starter. Put a little bit of wax in there, and once again, you're taking products that normally, or byproducts that normally would wind up in a landfill in some shape or form, and putting them back to work. And I think more importantly, I think all these products do a great job in raising awareness. It gives people the opportunity to say, hey, there's these byproducts out here, and we're doing something with it versus bringing in virgin materials and creating something with it. And I think that's where, for me personally, it gets really exciting, is not only the product side of it, but the opportunity to educate, to turn around to people and say, hey, there's great things happening here, right here in Minnesota, and you can participate. AURI obviously represents a lot of that byproduct conversion.
We do have a question. Chair Anderson.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Your story is excellent. I guess this is working. Tell us how you first made contact with AURI. Was it difficult as you were looking for technical help, maybe
It was
investing?
Wayne Jurdy at the MCPA. I had a conversation with him, and we just talked about it. He understood the needs, and at that point, he turned around and said, I bet you AURI is the next group for you to speak with. It was a handoff process, but a lot of it was just, the internet's been a great equalizer from a research perspective. So if you can jump online, and if you're persistent, you can find places, you can get information.
Chair Anderson? No. Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Curran. I'm always thrilled by the energy you present. I see it in my own community, young entrepreneurs getting after it and taking advantage of multiple resources. I think it sounds like an excellent example of public-private partnerships working together for success. I'm curious about your financing. Is it a similar situation where you had to cobble together some support from both public and private sectors? And if you could describe that.
Yes,
Mr.
to date
Curran.
it's been out of pocket. Excuse me.
Mr.
Today-
Curran, please.
It's been out of pocket. I've been self-financing, but that's kind of where I'm getting at the point where the business is growing, and the next step is to incorporate some outside financing to my operations. There's a couple of different opportunities. University of St. Thomas has a good entrepreneurial program. I'll be meeting with them in a week to just kind of go through some of the details of, what I want to do, how do I want to achieve it, putting together a business plan, some of these, basic building blocks to take the business to the next level. But to date, it's been self-financed.
Representative Johnson. How, and maybe you said it and I missed it, how many people are you employing? What has been the growth as far as the number of jobs?
Well, I've outsourced everything to date, only
Okay.
because we're still in startup mode. Although I've been doing it for 5 years now. I outsourced my sewing to local home-based sewers, for the bags, that is. We've been able to keep up on production. We don't do huge orders. We did one order for Caribou Coffee, 10,000 units of the bag that I'm passing around. But outside of that, it's usually hundreds and hundreds of bags, which you can manage. And that's kind of my life-work balance that I've chosen at this point in my career. So to date, everything's been outsourced, and that gives me the flexibility to scale up, ramp up quickly, and also manage my expenses and my cash flow.
Okay.
But yeah, the idea is as this grows, now that I'm at this juncture that I'm at right now, the idea is to structure the business so we can take on employees and really take the business to the next level.
All right. Very nice. Any other questions for the testifier? So it's very impressive. Thank you. And it's always great to hear from the entrepreneurs as well. So thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for your time.
Mr. Scogan.
Mr. Chair, we're going to ask John Pollock to come to the table, and hearing from Java Cycle and then Midwest Ag was kind of by design on our part, in that you saw a very small entrepreneur who is in that startup mode, and we're going to see someone who's been in the game a little longer come to the table next and talk a little bit about how AURI was able to help them. And I should have mentioned it earlier, but we do have a board member at your table as well. Representative Deb Keel is currently serving on our board.
That's right.
Appreciate
Vice Chair
that.
Keel, she requested that, and she'll be a nice addition, no question about it. And it's fun to hear the excitement, too, from the last testifier. So,
It is fun to feel the passion that some of these entrepreneurs and small business people have. There's no doubt about that. Do you have a PowerPoint?
I do. I've got a few slides if we can.
If there are other questions about AURI, I could entertain those while our next testifier gets ready, or
okay. Well, as we, if you need some assistance, if we can get the page to help you out there as well. And so, as you are getting ready, is every idea that comes to AURI a success? How do you, as a board, how do you approach it, whether or not you're going to invest in every idea that comes your way? Mr. Scogan.
Mr. Chair and members, no, they're not all successes. We are, as you can see in our name, a research institute. And as a result, even some ideas that we think are going to be successful and have merit do not succeed. And we have some that eventually plateau, some that trail off, some that we never hear from again. But we try to eliminate that going in, because that takes resources, time and money as well. And so what we do when a client comes to us, we have project managers that go through a pretty extensive series of questions and feasibility study, you might call it, with them. And we answer some critical questions about where they're at, what they're trying to accomplish, and you know, a great barbecue sauce that someone develops in their kitchen is a great thing at the family reunion. But you have to think about who your customer might be and who you're going to be competing with, and whether or not Minnesota needs another great barbecue sauce. And so we send them through the process, and we say no probably as often as we say yes. That does not mean that they don't go somewhere else and try, but we don't use the state investment that's given to us here on a project that we don't think is viable. And we've made mistakes even in the feasibility study. Some will walk away and find success somewhere else, but we try to be very careful.
So the other question that I have is, I've met many of the folks, many of the people that work with AURI. Michael Sparby comes to mind, and others. These are very intelligent and and talented people. How do you go about finding those employees?
Well, they found me by making my phone ring. I'm not sure what their process was, Mr. Chair and members, but I'm not on that at that level within the organization. But I will say this: I am on a senior leadership team, and we talk about holes in the organization, and we do that from the board level, through clients, and through employees. And although I'm not involved in making those decisions on who we talk to and who we hire, we do have a regular conversation about who we need. Do we need technical assistance in a laboratory? Do we need project managers who have been through certain things? And I think when you saw on our vision screen slide that came up a little while ago, you know, two things that have recently come to light for us is that we have many clients who are asking for some kind of services inside their organization that would make them more efficient. So engineering services is something that we think there's a hole within AURI. And we know that the consumption of the liquid dairy products is down, and that new dairy products need to be established, or at least processes maybe to make current ones to help the dairy industry. And we think we need to, at some point, maybe plug that hole as well. So, you know, it's a long answer to a short question, but we do think about it strategically, and you know, our latest hire, Harold Stanislawski, who spent time in the ag department, who spent time as an economic developer in Fergus Falls and with Extension. He heard about us having an opening, and he came to us and was curious. So that road runs both ways.
Yeah, and I know Harold, he's a great individual there. So Representative Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And my questions for AURI while they're working on the slide program. Mr. Chair, and following up off of the organization, Senator Scogan, I have a great deal of respect for you and also the products and the companies that are being involved that have been developed over 25 years. Earth Clean is in South St. Paul, and connect with them and see how they're doing. But Mr. Chair's last fall, there was quite a bit of dysfunction on this board. And going so far where I think the board was going to call a meeting to actually pass bylaws to have the board be able to nullify speakers' appointments to the board. And I don't care which party's involved. I think when the legislative branch makes appointments, if it's Representative Keel or if it's Senator Schmidt or anybody in the future, the speaker has that authority and the majority leader has that authority in the Senate. So maybe now is not the time, but I think there has to be a discussion about authorities and what the roles of boards are, and particularly this board, because there was a great deal of drama involved, and we should move forward beyond that. But I'm really concerned about a board being able to impact legislative appointments post hoc. And so I don't know if you want to address that now, but I think it has to be talked about.
Thank you, Representative Hanson. Senator Scogan, would you like to address that or say a few words?
Yeah, Mr. Chair and Representative Hanson, you were absolutely right. Part of it, I think, in my history, I've served on electric co-op boards. I've served on other boards. We were in a point, I think, with AURI where the board itself was going through some gyrations. And I know that there was a feeling that the board was preparing to try to reject appointments. And I think that was a misunderstanding. Personal opinion, not speaking for the board now, but I think that was a misunderstanding. I think we're working through that now. I have told the board that when the legislature appoints someone to our board, we accept that person. If that person becomes a problem for our board, there are avenues within the legislative process to have that person at least removed or have a conversation with leadership about what the problem might be. And I think through the high emotion and anxiety of what was occurring, that got lost. And we currently had two board members from the legislature at our on the 15th at our board meeting. We take a vote as a board to put them on the board, and that is done to satisfy a requirement from our insurance carrier. So everybody gets voted on, but I don't see the day ever coming when the appointee is not accepted.
Representative Hanson, follow up?
Thank you.
All right. Chair Anderson, Representative Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator, for, I'll try to peek over, for joining us. This is really interesting. I was just wondering which of your major research areas is growing the fastest right now? You know, food, energy, bio-based, whatever.
Senator Scogan.
We think bio-based is coming, but right now food is probably still, over half or around half our projects are probably food-based. And that's everything from taste to shelf life to the whole world is looking to eat more protein. I mean, everybody wants more protein, and so we get a lot of requests to try to figure out how to provide that protein to the world and to the state.
Representative Bennett, follow up? No? All right, thank you. You have another testifier. Please state your name for the record and begin, please.
John Pollock.
Welcome.
I'm kind of an entrepreneur by, I guess, by necessity rather than by choice. I'm from Marshall, Minnesota, and was working at Minnesota Corn Processors. And ADM purchased Minnesota Corn Processors back in 2002 and closed the corporate office down. So I found myself out of work. And I and my partner both worked there. kind of like Marshall, kind of like Minnesota. And so we started a company called Midwest Ag Enterprises. And we've grown that company into really 3 separate companies. And combined, we're doing probably $50 million worth of business, split pretty evenly throughout all 3 companies. And we're basically a feed ingredient company. And when we got started, it was kind of at the start of the ethanol industry startup, and we felt there was a need to establish dry distillers grain in the marketplace overseas. And my partner had actually filled that position at Minnesota Corn Processors, where he was selling some of their co-products into Asia. So we were really the first company to export dry distillers grain into Asia. As our company grew, we kind of split it into 2 separate divisions, one called Midwest Ag Enterprises. The other one was called Midwest Ag Supplements. Midwest Ag Supplements, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but that's a liquid feed company. Currently, that's a joint venture between myself, CHS, Senex Harvest States, and another large regional feed company. And we supply liquid feed supplements to the dairy and feed industry throughout about a 12-state area. Been a very successful company for us. The one I'm going to spend most of my time with right now, though, is called Midwest Ag Enterprises. And here's some of our branded products that we've made. And it kind of, if you market into Asia, they like big, bold colors with a lot of variations in fonts. It almost kind of looks like a NASCAR ad. But the one on the upper right is Nutravance. Talk about proteins. This is an animal protein, vegetable-based, that Ori helped us develop. About 6, 7 years ago, we bought another company that was involved in drying different feed ingredients, and they were all animal-based. We saw a need, though, to introduce a product that wasn't relying strictly on animals to feed the co-products to. We wanted something that we felt could be utilized on a larger scale, and something that I guess when you think about soybeans, you look at the number of acres we grow in Minnesota and other areas, be a lot more easy to replenish the feedstocks there using soy. So is this a MARL group up here?
Yep.
It is.
It's interesting. I'm an alumni of Class 3, and that's how I got introduced to AURI, was through the MARL program and a tour at their site in Marshall, Minnesota.
So, well, Mr. Pollack, you just saved us a lot of time. We don't have to have Marl come down and introduce himself.
You can buy me drinks afterwards.
Please proceed.
So, as I was saying, we felt there was a need to introduce a vegetable-based protein. And as a small company, we don't have the resources of a Cargill or an ADM or a Bunge or a large company. And being somewhat familiar with AURI, I sat down with Denny Timmerman and exchanged our thought process with him. And what really impressed me about Denny is he grasped immediately where we wanted to go with this. If any of you follow aquaculture, a fish meal is a finite product mined from the ocean. The supply has been pretty stagnant for a number of years. And on the other hand, aquaculture is growing double digits every year, and so there's a real need out there for a replenishable protein. So Nutravance, in essence, if I can figure out how to advance the slides here, got a couple quick slides. This basically just talks about Midwest Ag. Most of our ingredients get exported into Asia. And in fact, in 2014, we received the Minnesota Governor's International Trade Award, so we're quite proud of that. But getting back to Nutravance, it's a feed ingredient, and it's a very high protein feed ingredient. If you look at a soybean and kind of how it breaks down, in the upper left-hand picture of this slide, you see it's comprised of 15% soluble carbohydrates. Okay, what does that really mean? In layman's terms, I guess if you eat a bowl of chili with a lot of kidney beans in it, what happens? Those sugars ferment, and I think you know what happens after that. Same thing true with soybeans. They have some fermentable sugars in it, and if you're going to feed these to certain species of aquaculture or baby pigs or poultry, those sugars can be very disruptive to their intestinal system. So the solution is remove them. Well, it sounds simple, but it's really a fairly complex problem, and that's really where we kind of rolled our sleeves up with Ori, and with help of Doug Root, and who happens to be a scientist for him, works out of the Marshall office. We were trying to figure out a way to economically remove these sugars. This is done quite commonly in the food industry under much more, I guess, complex ways of doing this that are extremely expensive. Well, when you go into the feed industry, you got to be very cost conscious. So long story short, they helped us develop a method to in turn remove these sugars, raise the protein level, and allow us then to feed this into a multiple of species. Probably the biggest market that we're looking at is aquaculture. Just kind of a little bit of slide there in terms of we actually, when we make Nutravants, we actually start off with soybean meal. There's probably an overproduction of soybean meal in the U.S., and this is one of the things that Ori helped us recognize, is rather than reinvent the wheel, let's take an existing product and further refine it. So that's what we did with Nutravants. In essence, this is what we came up with now is a fairly high protein. We're talking 62 to 63% protein with the soluble carbohydrates removed from it. That allows us then to feed it anything from a baby pig to poults into certain species of aquaculture, shrimp included. So kind of when I look at Ori, what benefits did it bring to the table for us? You know, as I said earlier, when I sat down and spoke with Denny Timmerman, who really kind of owned our project, with his ag background, he immediately grasped where we're going with this. And the thing that I really noticed about AURI is their staff. They're extremely professional, very entrepreneurial in their thinking, and they really take ownership in the project. I almost think of maybe this is a poor way of describing it. If you ever watched the TV show Shark Tank, they really do a good job of vetting the projects before them, sifting through the ones that make sense and discarding the ones that don't. I guess the only difference is that you do get some financial support from Ori, where at the Shark Tank they actually write a check out and they own part of it. But that financial support is important, but quite frankly, what really helped us more than anything else is, like I said earlier, is their ability to bring a lot of things to the table that, yeah, we're a fairly large, small company, but we don't have those resources that the big Fortune 500 companies have, and that's a role that's extremely important to us. The other thing that they really helped us in is so we got the process design. We're actually making Nutravants right now, and so the next step then obviously was feeding trials. And where Ori really helped us there is they've kind of become the gatekeepers, in my opinion, of like the Minnesota Soybean Growers Association or the Corn Growers Association, and they help take our story to them, and they've got a tremendous amount of credibility, and that helped us get financial support in doing a lot of our research trials. So I can say right now, this was about a 3-year project from start to finish. We're making Nutravants right now, tremendous interest in it. Hasn't hurt us that the price of fish meal has gone through the roof. Same time, soybean meal has actually come down in price. So the stars are all aligned for us, and we're extremely grateful for what Ori has been able to bring to the table for us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We do have some questions. Representative Miller, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Senator Scogan, he raises and I'm sorry, I forget your name, I apologize.
John Pollock.
I appreciate that. What is your relationship, what is Ari's relationship with private investors, and do you have an arm of what you do that can assist when there's growth to not necessarily take them all the way, but could you just explain how that works with some private investment when some of these things start growing?
Scogan.
Mr. Chair and Representative Miller, we have networking. We don't have financing, but we do have people that are interested. And we know, we talk to people, I guess. We have developed some networks where we can send them. And maybe John has more details on when they would run into those financial hurdles. But we used to do more even one-on-one kind of grant writing where we would help clients financially. But as more of our technical and lab assistance has taken up the state appropriation, there's less and less of that money to put into the client's project, and they have to go and find financing in other ways. Although the services that we offer, of course, are offered through the state of Minnesota. But John, maybe when you run into financing problems, was Denny or some of our staff able to help you make some connections?
Mr. Pollock?
Before we got involved with AURI, we had kind of cleared that hurdle before. We got some import-export financing through our local bank, Bremer, extremely helpful through utilizing some of their relationships. So we kind of had that piece in place before we got involved with AURI.
Representative Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I think that would be, I don't want to tell you, Senator Scogan, how to do your budget or how your policy, but I do think that that's an important branch, is that private investment. As this is commercialized, I think that would be a great thing to consider in RE in the future, a way that you could, you mentioned Shark Tank, and that's what made me think of it. So that there's that's one of the struggles when I've seen some emerging technologies to be able to identify those sources. You have to do the legwork yourself.
Mr. Pollock?
I would think that for other projects that Ori's involved in, maybe they, like you said, maybe they don't provide the financing, but if they can provide you the relationships or the networking to help access financing, because it has gotten to be more and more challenging. And I think if we were to start our business today, I really question if we would be able to get the financing in place today due to all the regulations and restrictions that are involved. So I really think that that's a piece that if Ori could help, maybe not supply the actual funds, but maybe
The connection, the conduit.
exactly.
Exactly, the connection.
Representative Miller?
Just the connection, that was the point that I was making. I'm not looking so much for the funds for it, but the connections are important. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So, Representative Schultz?
Thank you, Sir Chair. And Senator Scogan, just enlighten me. Do you work with the Centers for Economic Development across the state when you're working with clients in any way, or do you internalize those functions and do that business development piece yourself?
Mr. Scogan?
Mr. Chair and Representative, we collaborate. Yeah, we do work with Workforce Development, Economic Development Initiative Foundations, because each of our clients is different. And so they bring a different set of knowledge to the table, and they have different needs. And so we have a large innovation network that we rely on to help solve some of the problems.
Representative Schultz?
Can you be a little bit more specific about how you work with them and what sort of role they play or what services they provide?
Senator Scogan?
I'm afraid I couldn't. I don't work with them. I'm not a project manager, but I can try to find that information and get it to you.
Representative Schultz?
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I apologize for that.
Thank you. So, I tell you what, it's very impressive. Do you have a projection on, the future opportunities within your company? Any idea as far as job growth? I mean, we're all about job growth, right? Job growth, economic development in geographical areas where you're located.
We started in 2002, and we've created, between the three companies, 50 full-time, well-paying positions. That's direct reports through our companies. In addition to that, I'm guessing through other ancillary jobs and services that get provided that we need, probably double that number.
Yeah.
And we're excited about the long-term growth that Nutrifans is going to provide, and And I see the day coming where we're going to probably have to look to expand that process and that facility.
Yeah, that's impressive too. When one door closes, another one opens, obviously. And that's what I liked about the gentleman that testified before you as far as potential spin-off businesses that come about as well. And you're seeing that too?
Absolutely. Like I said, we started we started from scratch. We bought a facility in Marshall that had been closed down, and both my partner and I actually went on unemployment until we ran that dry. And I didn't pull a dime out of the business for the first 2 years, nor did he. And it was interesting because my wife both worked for Minnesota Corn Processors too, so we're both out of work. Didn't want to leave Minnesota or Marshall. I'd come home every night and she'd have a lot of help wanted ads circled, and I told her I had a job, and she said, I don't know about you, but I define a job as somebody that brings home a paycheck, and you haven't done that. So there were some interesting times in our household.
I can only imagine. So, Chair Anderson.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Mr. Scogan, when somebody comes to you looking for advice and such to get going, do they have to have a connection to agriculture, or is any type of business plan open to being helped by AURI?
Senator Scogan.
Mr. Chair and Chair Anderson, they have to have a connection to agriculture, at least with the product that they're going to use. If it's a process that they're changing and need help with, then that has to have an agricultural connection. Now, you know, project managers and people with good ideas, that can get pretty thin sometimes. You can make connections if you want to, you know, sometimes. But there has to be a core for us connection to agriculture. That's why we were designed, and that's what our intent is to add value to agricultural products or processes.
Chair Anderson, follow-up?
Not really a follow-up, but I noticed when you put up the companies that you've helped over the years, one of them happens to be from my district. It's called Redhead Creamery, and it's a family dairy farm operation up around Bruton, Minnesota. The daughter and her husband came back to the farm, and they have begun a lifelong dream of operating a cheese-making facility, and got some help from you and had a few bumps along the road, but now they are producing top-end cheese from the milk that is produced right on their farm. So just a good success story, and they got some help from AURI, so just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Chair Anderson.
Would love to
Mr.
have the Shodines come in and testify someday, but we couldn't get it in an hour and a half. He is very energetic. So, but you might get a cheese sample out of it.
Thank you. So, Vice Chair Keel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say that I'm very thankful that I was appointed and elected to the board, and am looking forward to working with AURI and its successes. So I think it's an exciting time in agriculture.
That it is. Thank you for that. And back to Representative Hansen's comment. As we move forward here, Senator Scogan, as we move forward here, I would advise you and other board members to be visiting with the committee members. Obviously, it's wonderful to hear about the successes. And let's address some of the issues that we've encountered as well as we move forward and start putting our budgets together. So, all right. I thank you so much for your testimony. Any other parting words, if you will?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to testify. We do have a change request before the governor. I'm going to be back to both chairs, and if you want to hear more about that in greater detail inside your committees, we'd be more than happy to bring that information to you.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for sharing your story as well to both of the testifiers. It's exciting. We're happy to hear it. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda we have the MARL, right? So, who would like to come up and testify for the MARL program? I see a lot of familiar faces out, so I'm thinking about maybe putting people on the spot and calling one up here, but Maybe we'll be nice today. So please state your name for the record and begin.
Chair Hamilton, committee members, good morning. My name is Bill Mulso. I'm the Vice President for Advancement at Southwest Minnesota State University, and I also serve as the Executive Director of the SMSU Foundation. Thank you for giving us this opportunity this morning to tell you a little bit more about the Minnesota Agriculture and Rural Leadership Program. I have with me this morning Cam Fonflick. Cam is the Chair of the MARL Board of Directors and also a MARL Class 4 graduate, along with our program leader Mike Leopold from University of Minnesota Extension, and several of our current members of MARL Class 8.
Welcome.
The MARL program is entering its 15th year, and we're well underway with our 8th cohort of agriculture leaders from across the state of Minnesota. The MARL program was established back in 2000 by Southwest Minnesota State University in partnership with the University of Minnesota Extension and the SMSU Foundation. The program to date has graduated over 200 participants, many of which are around the room. It's fun to see the connections. Our MARL program mission is to develop the skills of Minnesota agriculture and rural leaders so that they maximize their impact and effectiveness in local, state, national, and international arenas. The program is a 2-year leadership development program that brings together a diverse group of participants, 30 of them this year, from all areas of agriculture across the entire state. The program is designed to expose them to a mix of leadership studies, personal skill building, and local related subject matters such as communication, the legislative process, ag literacy, conflict management, and national and international trade and ag policy, to name just a few. MARL is supported by a broad network of funding partners consisting of businesses, organizations, and individuals, with 75% of the cost of delivery of the program coming from our alumni and friends, while participants are responsible for picking up 25% of that cost through tuition. Other than the in-kind support provided by Southwest Minnesota State and University of Minnesota Extension, MARL at this time does not receive any state funding, unlike many of the other ag and rural leadership programs across the upper Midwest. There's some handouts that I hope you have gotten or are here that we'll get to you that highlight the curriculum that our cohorts participate in and the diverse nature of the seminars that our students are exposed to, our participants. You also have a listing of our current class of leaders. And in order to be respectful of your time this morning, I thought it was important that you hear from our alums and some of our current class members. And so at this time, I would like to introduce our MARL Board Chair, Cam Fonflick.
Bill is a little nervous. I'll give you the correct pronunciation of my Czech name.
Okay.
My name is Cameron Fanfulik. I am the board chair. I also work as the executive director of the Northwest Regional Development Commission in Warren, Minnesota. So I'm a proud resident of Fabian, Kiel, and Marquardt country. So I'm glad to see so many familiar faces here today. The second thing I'd like to say is that one of the board members suggested that I give you a fair warning that you should never step between me and a microphone. So there's the warning.
Yeah. I do have a gavel, so.
There. You're only giving me 5 minutes. It's just not fair. One of the things I'd like to talk to you today is about investment and reinvestment, return on investment. That I feel is important to this particular class. We do a marketing book when we recruit members to the class, and the logo across the front is Invest in People. We are firm believers that we need that type of investment in order to further rural leadership in Minnesota. As you well know, rural Minnesota is under a bit of a crisis, especially in the western part of the state. The average age of farmers, the last time I looked at the ag census, I believe was 56.6 years of age. So I think it's rather important that we not only invest in leadership programs in the state of Minnesota, it means that we're investing in our people. And I think that there's a real end result, a tangible result that we see from that type of investment. I think part of it is what you saw today. Of those 200 graduates that have come out of the MARL program, our reach is extending in several different areas. Many of these graduates go on to become leaders in commodity organizations, in their churches, on their school boards, in their communities, in various other organizations and associations. We have graduates who have served as the board chair for Minnesota Corn Growers. And I'm going to tell you a couple little stories about what that reach means. The tangible results, as I mentioned, Mr. Pollock was an example of that. Even one of your own colleagues, Mr. Torkelson, from St. James, is a graduate of Class 4. He and I went through the class together. And I can tell you that it was one of the most moving and educational experiences I've ever had. So that influence is everywhere. And the reason I want to talk about return on investment is because the expense of running this class is significant, and there's significant investment by class members in themselves. The cost of to each participant is approximately $6,000. That's spread over a 2-year period in 5 payments. So it's significant that they're investing in themselves. However, that only pays for a quarter of their tuition. The rest is picked up by donors through commodity organizations, agribusiness, associations, individuals, and alumni. The one missing ingredient that I see is that the state of Minnesota does help fund us indirectly. The Minnesota Extension, of course, provides the program delivery and coordination, and SMSU is, of course, the fiscal agent and host of this program. So indirectly, yes, Minnesota does invest in this program. However, my feeling is that a direct investment from the state is important. Not only does it show your interest in building leaders in this state, the end result is that you're going to have people that are going to be serving with you in the legislature, that are going to be working in these commodity organizations, spreading influence not only throughout the state, but nationally and internationally. So just a couple of examples I'd like to give you. I graduated in 2006 from the MARL program. One of my classmates went on to run for county commission down in southeast Minnesota. And about 2 months after she was elected, or probably about 4 or 5 months after she was elected, that's when southeast Minnesota was nailed with the flooding, the severe damages and flooding that took place. One of the problems in southeast Minnesota is that it is not a federally designated economic development district. That's important if you want to access funds, for instance, from the Economic Development Administration. So they were a little bit behind the 8 ball down there, but that county commissioner called me for assistance because she knew I worked in economic development. My job at the NWRDC is covering the very northwest tip of the state, the 7 counties up there. I'm fairly familiar with how government operates and where to go for assistance and who to do referral for and that type of thing. And that's really what she was looking for. It wasn't major league help where I was down there throwing sandbags and everything else. This was more along the lines of trying to facilitate so that southeast Minnesota could recover quickly. Another example is actually that same person. Her family has been involved with breeding cattle over the past many years. They had made some inroads into the country of Cuba many years before this recent diplomatic opening that's just occurred. So my point here is that, our reach is becoming international. When those people down there think about breeding cattle, they're thinking about Minnesota. And that's important if we're going to continue our trade and especially our rural trade. So those are just 2 examples of kind of how this program works. It's relationship building, but it's also developing the contacts and developing the network so that we can make the state the better place to live. Now, I do have a couple of examples. One of the things that we do on a continual basis is measure ourselves. So we want to compare ourselves not only inwardly to see that we're providing the best possible experience for our class members, but we also want to make sure that we're, in a comparison mode with other programs that surround us in surrounding states. So for instance, state of North Dakota, they provide $125,000 from their legislature for each class, and they do the same thing. It's a 2-year class. They're paying for more people. State of California has a budget about the same as ours. They're paying for 3 people. We have 1, and plus support staff from SMSU. But they're serving less people. So my feeling is we give really great bang for the buck. We're serving 30 class members. We're giving them an excellent experience. They're exposed to national and international study tours. They're making these contacts around the world. That is fabulous for the state of Minnesota. And that's what I mean by return on investment. So just to end, I really feel that this is something that I realize that you people have to make very difficult decisions. Full disclosure, after I completed MARL, I decided to run for city council in my hometown. So I'm a little bit familiar with budgets on a relatively smaller scale than you folks are, but I still understand what it means to have to jockey numbers around. I get it. I understand it. But I will tell you this. You invest in us, and I'll guarantee you results. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fanfolic. We do have some questions. Representative Schultz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Is it Cameron?
Yep.
Thank you for your testimony today. Have you noticed any decline in services from the University of Minnesota Extension as state funding has decreased substantially to the university and to Extension?
Mr. Fanfolic.
I'm sorry, Representative Schultz, I think on a statewide basis, services are consolidating in counties that are possibly, it possibly spreads it a little thin. In terms of what services we get in terms of program delivery for the MARL program, it's excellent. Mr. Leopold will be speaking to you here. He's our program director. I can't say enough about how Minnesota Extension plays a role in the education and training of this class. But to speak broadly on a statewide basis, yeah, I think that Minnesota Extension is stretched pretty thin. And, the consolidation hasn't helped because then you have people that are working a couple days in one county, a couple days in another county. It tends to get away from a consistent type of presence.
Representative Schultz.
Thank you. I'd like the committee maybe in a future date to talk about extension services that the university provides and how they've been affected and how that affects greater Minnesota.
Thank you, Representative Schultz. And we'll be bringing individuals from the university in at a later date. So thank you for that request. Representative Marquardt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and appreciate the testimony. This program is really an economic and quality of life issue because we know in our small communities some are thriving and some are not thriving, and some of the reading I've done shows that one of the key factors on depending whether or not a community is thriving or not has to do with leadership. And so anything we can do with developing leaders and giving them kind of the skills, the tools, the connections that you talked about can only help our economic growth and our quality of life in these communities. And I'm just thinking off the top of my head, if at some point, there's a $6,000 cost on tuition, but if there couldn't be some sort of a, if you go back into your communities and do X, Y, and Z, the state could come back in and, you're talking about results, and we could see results, and it's tough to measure in that way, but somehow maybe there'd be some sort of a incentive after this program or a commitment to do X, Y, and Z. Maybe some funding can come forth. I don't know how, but I do know that with this and other programs, I mean, the key in these small communities is having energetic, forward-thinking leadership, because it's a struggle out there, especially in these small rural communities. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, Representative Marquardt. Would you like to comment, either one of you?
All I can say is yes, sir. I mean, that's exactly right. We do studies at the end of each class that we call the ripple effect. We basically are interviewing each class member to see what they've gone on to do in their communities. It's impressive. We can provide that for you. I think that that is, again, another example of return on investment. It's not only long-term, but it's also short-term. I mean, we can see these results happening all the time. People are getting involved. I think the training that we're given through this class basically kind of instigates that kind of behavior. People want to go back and make a change for the better in the state.
Thank you. Representative Lewick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't really have a question, but I would like to really compliment the organization. We've got two alumni who are neighbors of mine, Deb and John Shute. And Deb was in the class that visited Cuba. And I believe you didn't mention the name, but I believe you're talking about the Kaler family.
Yes.
Relative to livestock, and really been involved in forward thinking on working with Cuba. And obviously with John and Deb, they're full-time farmers and have a full-time job outside of the farm. They couldn't attend at the same time, so John was in the class that visited Morocco, North Africa, for those that haven't been there or don't know where that's at. John is now one of the senior members on our school board. So I just want to tell you, I've seen the results of this program, and those two were community leaders before, but you really were able to multiply their knowledge and their impact. So I just got the highest regard for the program, and I've seen the results, and you can take it to the bank. It is a good program. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Lewick. Representative Fabian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Fanfulik, couple of questions. Number one, how do people get enrolled in the program? How large are the classes? And who are the trainers?
Each class cohort, Representative Fabian, each class cohort is generally made up of 30 people. We try to be geographically diverse. We also try to be diverse in who we recruit. So there is a selection process. It happens first through an application. We encourage leaders in communities in rural areas and agriculture to apply for this program. They have to go through a selection process, which involves being interviewed, taking a look at how much they have been involved in public life and in service to the community. Because we know that if they are, it's going to be even multiplied after they're finished with the program. So 30 people. We try to be diverse. We have on our class currently 2 minorities, one from the Hmong minority and another from the Latino. We also have 14 women as members of this class. That's the most we've ever had, and personally, I think it's the best thing that we can ever do. They need to be there. I can give you just a quick example of what I saw when I visited South Africa. The apartheid regime there had put down the males in that society for many years. It does not look likely that the males are going to be able to bring themselves up enough to be able to help build that country. Where it's going to come from is the women. The women do not have the fear and the, I guess, the negative experiences as much as the men do. They are determined to build their country. They're going to do it brick by brick, and it's very impressive to watch. And I like seeing that here in our own class. We have some amazing individuals that not only may farm, they may have started their own farm, as in the case of Sarah Betzold, who testified here a couple of years ago. She also works for DuPont Pioneer. And I can honestly tell you that when I have a board meeting and I chair it, I feel like I'm totally out of my league when she's in the room. So it's impressive to watch these folks. As I said, I'm constantly amazed at the talent that MARL brings to the table.
There's a Fabian.
And then the follow-up on who does the training? Who are the people that do the training when you have the classes and so forth?
What we do is contract with the University of Minnesota Extension. So Mr. Leopold, who will be speaking here in a few minutes, is the program director. He coordinates and provides the program delivery. He sets the curriculum, and the board of directors has the ability to review that curriculum to make sure that we're setting the right direction and looking at the right topics.
Representative Fabian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, congratulations on a job well done, all of you. Mr. Fanfulik talked about going to southeastern Minnesota and possibly throwing sandbags. I can guarantee you, after you've lived in Warren as long as he has, he's throwing a lot of sandbags. But that being said, because of a lot of the great leadership in the small city of Warren, they've actually just mitigated their flood damage, and you guys are high and dry for the first time, and a lot of hard work by local leaders to get that done. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Fabian. And just a little take home, out of the Kahlers, you got the better one of the two. Mrs. Kahler is much smarter than Mr. Kahler, so please take that back if you would, all right? I just wanted to get that on the record. I know them very, very well, so they are friends of mine. So, Chair Anderson.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Up to this point, I assume the program has been pretty much self-supporting. How would you utilize any possible state funds that could come to the MARL program?
Mr. Mosel or Mr. Who would like to field that one?
Mr. Chair, Representative Anderson, thank you. Private fundraising has been what has really supported this, and so we kind of go with the ebb and flows of fundraising. When times are good, fundraising is easier. When things are not so good, fundraising gets a little tougher. And so we are at the whim of how our fundraising goes. And so to provide some stability, a partnership that was public, private, as well as individual investment, I think would help stabilize this program and hopefully provide other opportunities for us to grow this and provide additional opportunities across the state.
All right. You do have another testifier, you said?
We do. Chair Hamilton, we have 4 class members from the current Class 8, and I would invite a couple of them at a time to come up here to the table and introduce themselves and share with you briefly some of their experiences.
All right. Please
Our
come
next
forward.
speaker will be Luke Daninger, Mr. Chairman, from Tremont.
All right. Please state your name for the record and begin.
I'm Luke Daninger from Trimont, and just a little bit about myself. I currently work with Land O'Lakes, their agronomy division, Winfield Solutions, down there, and I'm also actively involved in my family's dairy farm. We got a creamery on the farm where we bottle and process milk and distribute it throughout the metro area here in the Twin Cities. So when I look at agriculture, I think that there's many issues that are affecting ag today, but I think that a rather daunting one is that of how are we going to get young people into agriculture as it becomes more and more aged. If I look at Winfield as a specific example, 30% of the organization will retire in the next 5 years, and that echoes industry trends from across Minnesota. Similarly, the average age of the farmer keeps creeping up as well. And so, when we look at industry and production ag, how we're going to replace them, I feel like MARL is a very valuable program to help facilitate that. So as a young person in agriculture today, I think that MARL provides vital leadership and networking experiences on a local, state, national, and international level through community interactions and site visits. MARL also provides the opportunity to reflect and build upon our own leadership, which in turn helps create and facilitate more positive interactions around us, and I believe that has a domino effect in our communities. So simply put, MARL is well-rounded. Through this program, I hope to gain and build an all-important network, and through that network comes great power and connections throughout our community, state, and national levels. Along with this, I hope that to improve on my own self-awareness and leadership ability going forward, and I think the other young people in the class, like myself, would echo that same vision, as we think it's an exciting time in our industry. You know, so to sum things up, I think we need to continue to keep building and finding new leaders for Minnesota in our industry, and I think that MARL is a fantastic avenue to help accomplish this going forward in the future. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. And yes, please.
No, I was just, if there weren't any questions, I was going to introduce our next speaker.
All right, if you do that, please.
Our next speaker is Yolanda Cotterall. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record and begin.
Yolanda Cotterall. And I just want to say, Mr. Chair, thank you very much. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here, to be able to testify in front of this body. I am a member of MARL Class 8. But I also work for Latino Economic Development Center here in Minneapolis. About 4 years ago, LEDC began working in the area of developing beginner farmers. We received USDA funds to do that work. And through doing that work, we were able to couple our economic development skill sets, because that's what we do. We start small businesses in a Latino immigrant community. And we were able to couple what we know about economic development and translate that to opportunities for farming for beginner farmers in the state. We have partnered with the Hmong community so that the farmers from immigrant Latino communities and immigrant Hmong communities can work together in development of opportunities. And I just want to share some observations that I made note of, and I think that you each received something that I put together to make reference to.
Please.
As far as opportunities, there are a lot of opportunities in this state for the development of these beginner farmers. They are participating in diversifying the local production and ownership, which heretofore hasn't existed. They are small farmers who are learning about sustainability of their small farms and production. And Cameron said something about the average age of farmers. We know that in the state of Minnesota, the average age of farmers is rising. And where, besides you, Luke, where are the new farmers coming from? Clearly, I think it's an opportunity in the immigrant community that we need to be looking at. We can build on existing resources in support of the industry. My participation in MARL program has really opened up a lot of the landscape of agriculture in the state. All the opportunities that exist, the very importance of agriculture in the state. It's been an amazing experience so far for me, but it also allows me to kind of link up my skill sets and my knowledge about economic development, starting businesses with farming. And it's a good place to be, working with immigrant farmers. Fostering connections between experienced farmers and beginning farmers. We talk about that, we say that, but how do we really make that happen? How do we make those connections across existing barriers of culture, of language? How do we harness those knowledge base of experienced, seasoned farmers who've been doing it for generations with these new and beginning immigrant farmers? Some of the challenges that we face on our end with development of these beginner farmers is learning industry skills. Many of the Hmong farmers are very experienced. They have been farming for many years, for generations actually, in their home country. They brought those skills here. It may not look like our industrial farms, but they are producing good quality food in a sustainable fashion. And we would like to see that built on and shared across sectors. Improve market connections. One of the things for the Hmong farmers that we learned was that they all sell, many of them sell at farmers markets, which is a good opportunity for them. But farmers markets are a bit saturated, and they need to really begin and are starting to do that through the help of the Hmong American Farmers Association, HAFA, to make forays into expanding markets. And I think that that really needs to happen more. And in terms of coming out of this house, I think that that would be something that we would like to see support in doing. Another real big challenge is access to land. A farmer without land is not a farmer. There's been some interesting projects done. Again, HAFA, Hmong American Farmers Association, was able to access with a unique purchase, or not purchase structure, but leasing structure, 155 acres of land in Hastings. And that project supports about 18 farmers. I'm looking at Paku over there. And the project is amazing. I invite you all to visit it. It's down there on 52. The farmers are farming. There's some infrastructure now on the property. They do not worry that next year they won't know where they're going to be. They now know where they're going to be from year to year, and it makes a huge difference in terms of what markets they can access, the profitability of their farms, the same sustainability of their farms. But access to land is an important challenge that must be solved. With the Latino farmers, we were able to partner with the Long Prairie Economic Development Agency, and some land that was sitting unused in their city limits was able to be leased long-term for farmers, for the farmer co-ops that LEDC is forming. We also have done that kind of an arrangement down in Austin, Minnesota, to access land owned by I think it's Riverview College down there, with a lease contract to use the land that's sitting unused at this time. So it's an exciting time for immigrant farmers. There's opportunities, but there are challenges, and those are some of them that I've just named. And I was so bold to say I have recommendations as well, and it's not a long list.
We want to hear them.
Good. Support and facilitate emerging farmers to participate in the industry. Pretty general statement. How does that look? I think the description of that will come as a result of focused conversations with folks from the immigrant community, the farmers themselves, and also spokespeople that they have trusted and looked to for guidance, and legislative bodies and industry leaders in agriculture. Build on existing resources and collaborations for the mitigation of the challenges that we're talking about. Lots exists. There are still things that we haven't identified in terms of resources that can be brought to bear to support these beginner farmers. And collaborations always are very important with the existing farm industry leaders. But all in all, most importantly, if you take anything away today, is that there are immigrant farmers in our state who've made Minnesota their home, and they have natural instincts as entrepreneurs, and they have existing skill sets to be farmers. There's some things that they need, and there's some things that they can bring, and together, I think we have an opportunity to change the face of agriculture in the state of Minnesota as far as the participation and incorporation of immigrants into farming, and immigrants who are looking for cutting edge, sustainable, organic, sometimes farming. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. And I would like, I asked Mr. Nisley to write some of your suggestions down, and I would like to continue working with you on that. So thank you for your leadership. Representative Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I raised my hand before Ms. Cotterill had given all her recommendations. I was going to ask her to make some recommendations, so
Yes.
I thank you for that. This woman is an incredible leader, not only in rural Minnesota, but LEDC, Latino Economic Development Center, is right in my district, and working with urban farmers, too, is another skill that she and others bring, and as well as Paku Heng, who I don't know if she's going to get to speak, but I just want to say that one of the things about talking about immigrant farmers now, like a lot of our, the people sitting around this table have relatives back a couple generations who were immigrant farmers, and I think we should remember that. And our immigrant farmers of today are bringing some of those same kinds of generations of skills. And it's just important to remember that. And I am interested in what recommendations we can concretely do to help keep those alive and also share with the larger agricultural community. So thank you for your leadership.
Thank you, Representative Clark. And Ms. Cotterill, you'll appreciate this. Just yesterday, had members from the district that I serve. They came up here with the Asian Pacific Council, and they're Hmong. And one of the things that we're doing as a committee is we're recognizing special people in agriculture all across the state. And I asked them to bring forth suggestions. And I was thinking within the Hmong community, right, someone who has done some great things, leadership in agriculture. Right then and there, they shared with me that there is an elderly couple in a small community in which I represent that provides the land for the Hmong to farm on in that area. They said, we want to recognize them. And so when you're talking about land availability and everything else, here, they said, let's look outside of the Hmong community to people that have helped us get involved in farming. And this just happens to be an elderly couple that's established in the area that has been there for a while. That is their recommendation on who they want to recognize. And I just, no selfishness whatsoever in that. And I also have a dear friend who is Hmong, and he said, Rod, we are farmers by nature. We're farmers by nature. And so whatever we can do to work together, I applaud you. And being a leader, I applaud the MARL program for being diverse, not only geographically or gender balance as well, but also identifying people as yourself to participate in that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes. We have other testifiers? Or Representative Fabian? I'm sorry, Representative Fabian.
Just a comment while you're kind of changing gears here. I can't help but think about rural Minnesota, and a couple of weeks ago, I think, we had the FFA here, and now we got the MARL group here. Minnesota's in good hands.
Thank you, Representative Fabian. That we are.
And I have the distinct
Cotterill.
pleasure of introducing Mr. Heath Radke.
All right, please state your name for the record and begin.
My name's Heath Radke, and I work with Marshall Radio in Marshall, Minnesota, and also associated with the Linder Farm Network, which broadcasts across the southern two-thirds of the state, to Minnesota agriculture. Thanks to Representative Poppy for taking some time last night to meet with our group of 30 MARL participants in Class 8. We got to sit on the House floor and hear some of the ins and outs of what you each do on a daily basis, and we appreciate that. So thank you. Speaking of the diversity of the MARL group, with Yolanda and Paku, they just have been a wealth of knowledge for us. Outline Minnesota, sees what you do in agriculture, and to see what these ladies are doing with their communities in agriculture has been an eye-opening experience for many of us that are participating in the program at this point in time. We have bankers, we have journalists, we have myself in radio broadcast, such a diverse group of people that want to take their leadership to the next level and take their businesses to the next level and take what they do on a daily basis in Minnesota agriculture to the next level. And it's just such an important piece to the future of Minnesota agriculture, I feel, in the MARL program. Personally, I have had the opportunity to work with Brian Nakamus, who's the vice president of the RALCO, which is based in Marshall, and his leadership in that company and in those communities in Marshall and now in Ballatin, where they've built their RALCO Technology Campus. The leadership that he provides is what you had mentioned earlier, the leadership that rural Minnesota needs to be sustainable and move forward. And I think his faith in me as a future leader to step out and provide not only support to the SMSU Foundation, the funding mechanism for MARL, but also to me personally. And to know that those are the people that are fostering the leadership of tomorrow is very, very heartening, and we appreciate that. And so I encourage you to definitely consider funding for MARL, because it's a program like no other, and we're 3 sessions into it, and certainly already all of us have made great strides in our leadership and in our community. So we encourage your funding.
Thank you, Mr. Radke.
Yeah, you bet.
So do we have another testifier as well?
This is Barb Liebenstein. She's a mid-sized dairy farmer from Dundas.
Is it Liebenstein? Or please state your name for the record.
Right. My name is Barb Liebenstein, and I'm from Dundas, Minnesota. And Representative Bly, I'm going to be late for our meeting at noon.
We will have you out of here on time, I guarantee it.
Very mindful of your time, and I can't thank you enough for having us here. 16 years ago, Agri-News, which is our agricultural publication out of Rochester, wrote an article describing a new type of rural leadership program that was going to be introduced. I wanted to apply for that class that day. It was something that was going to make me be a better leader and a better contributor to my community. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, but I have a couple kids, and I was happy to stay home and raise them. And I think if in 2009 I would have asked my husband or told him that we were going to spend $6,000 on my education during the dairy crisis, I hope I would still be married, but it would have been tough. So I've waited, and it was worth the wait, because I am in the best class of MARL Class 8. And the people that I've met in here have been unbelievable. Our diversity is awesome. We are kind of a low budget deal, so they make us share rooms. So the last time I had a roommate, it was Yolanda. And what an awesome opportunity for me to learn more about a community I already am greatly appreciative of, because we do employ some Hispanic employees, and they're very special to me. And to have Yolanda talk to me about that community even more was worth this whole experience. The other things that we've gotten to do in the last 3 sessions have been so memorable and exciting, and I can't even tell you how much it has meant to developing my leadership. I am already a leader in the dairy industry. I serve a Midwest Dairy Association in the state and on the corporate board. When I go to those board meetings, there's always room for improvement at meetings. And the more improvement we have by becoming better leaders and knowing how to be a leader will only make those meetings better, I'm sure. So I have appreciated the Minnesota Extension for providing us with Mike Leopold, who is an outstanding program director. He's very compassionate and caring and tough when he has to be. And these guys don't hold our hands. They told us to get here and make appointments with our senators and representatives, and they take us so far out of our comfort zone. Sometimes it's scary whether we should go back the next day or not, but we do. So again, the cost prohibition maybe to some other or to other farmers or people that are like Yolanda or in any area of agriculture can be kind of daunting. That's a lot of money to come up with, but it's well worth every penny. I'm very grateful that I was able to apply for this program. I'm even more grateful that 15 years later, when I actually got to apply, I got accepted. Never in my head did I realize what a process it is to go through an 8-page application, and then you have to sit in front of about 8 board members that come to your area and ask you what you think of being a leader. So it's a great program, and I appreciate the time that you've allowed me to speak with you today.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions for the testifiers, members? Any questions? Representative Marquardt, you I tell you what, you hit it right on the head there, and I'd like to work with you, and I know that many of us would like to work with you and see what we can do, all right, as far as putting some legislation together. So thank you for your comments. I greatly appreciate that. Anybody else from the MARL program? We have about 5 minutes. Mr. Leopold, we're going to blame Mr. Van Fullick for taking up all the time. No, I'm just teasing. So we'll have about 5 minutes, and then we'll wrap up, if that's okay.
Great. Well, good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Mike Leopold. I'm the Extension Educator for the University of Minnesota Extension and Program Leader for the MARL program since its inception in 2000. My responsibility is for the design, teaching, and evaluation of the MARL educational experiences. We get results. I work for a land-grant university that for over 150 years has prided itself on measuring results. Bushels per acre, pounds of feed per pound of gain. We can measure the change in 210 graduates of the MARL program just as well. It just takes a little creativity. Our sophistication in evaluating leader effectiveness has grown tremendously. Participants in MARL are measured at the start of the program and at the end of their 18-month experience, and at lots of points in between. We use a number of instruments to make certain that MARL is truly improving the leadership skills of Minnesotans. We use emotional intelligence assessments, organizational leadership. We count how many organizations that they are a part of and the leadership positions that they hold now and well into the future. And so I guess we can say that we can prove that MARL makes a difference. And I thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. So any questions, members? Any questions? I can't thank you enough. Everybody did a fantastic job testifying. We greatly appreciate that. And like I said, Representative Marquardt, I'd like to visit with you a little bit more, and anybody else as well. And something to think about from the MARL participants. Like I said, Representative Clark had some individuals that we recognized here as far as what they have done in agriculture. The first person that we recognized was Mr. Tom Peterson, who is in the audience as well for what he has done for agriculture. And so within the MARL program, if you have individuals that you'd like to bring forth, because what we're wanting to do is recognize someone in every Senate district or even every House district as we kick off these meetings. And I'm working with Mr. Bratz here, is taking down the information and putting the resolutions together. And so we do have some people in the pipeline, but there's someone that you'd like to bring forward to recognize, we'd love to do that. All right. All right. Thank you so much for your testimony. We are going to, as far as the department, Mr. Nisley already spoke with the department. We're going to be bringing them on next Tuesday, correct? Next Tuesday. And so we'll finish up those overviews. And is there anything else we need to go over? All right. With that, members, thank you so much for participating, and we are adjourned.